In Costa Rica, the Supreme Court of Elections confirmed that the polling stations are in full operation, and it also reiterated the call to citizens to participate. In Peru, sectors on strike in Huancayo City agreed to give a truce to Pedro Castillo's government and lift the pressure measures. Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi urged for the unity of Muslim countries in the framework of the start of the holy month of Ramadan. Hello, welcome to From the South. From the Truce Studios in Havana, Cuba, I'm Luis Alberto Matos, and we begin with the news. Costa Rica's polling stations are fully operational, and the presidential runoff between Jose Maria Figueres and Rodrigo Chavez is progressing without any incidents. In a press conference, the Supreme Court of Elections informed this Sunday that up to now, the electoral day has not had any major mishap. Likewise, the director of the Electoral Office of the Supreme Court of Elections, Héctor Fernández, denied the rumors about alleged warnings about electoral violations. According to Fernandez, the Supreme Court of Elections has already identified the company that circulated the rumors and requested the corresponding invoice to know who financed the referred message about supposed institutional alerts to the electoral prosecutors participating in the process. Likewise, the magistrate Eugenia Zamora, president of this institution, emphasized that the first preliminary results of this ballot will be disclosed 2 hours after the official closing of polls. In Costa Rica, the Supreme Court of Elections started an investigation on a text message that was spread cell phones networks about fines to electoral inspectors. The Supreme Court of Elections has requested the electronic invoice to find out who actually paid for the text message.
Yesterday, people got a mass text message to cellular networks, a message we have qualified as an intimidatory, saying the prosecutors could be fined from different situations. A clarification has already been issued. Of course, it did not come from the court. We're trying to define who is the 800 elector, who is sending this message, and of course, clarifying the situation with through the electoral agents regarding the responsibilities of prosecutors.
The Costa Rican Supreme Court of Election gave the first conference after opening the polls. All polling stations opened properly and without major incidents.
We are in the middle of the voting process, and at this moment that is the most important action. And to reiterate also that according to the obligation, constitutional and legal, the Supreme Court has provided the opening, verified the opening of all the stations, provided all the necessary materials to the effect that no one is left today without voting for any relevant technical reason.
The 3.5 million of Costa Ricans eligible to vote can decide between candidates Jose Maria Figueres of the National Liberation Party and Rodrigo Chavez of Social Democratic Progress for the presidency of the country on Sunday.
After a first round marked by split votes and failure to achieve a majority, Costa Ricans once again go to the ballot box, this time to choose between two social democratic forces that closely follow the traditional pattern, which eventually led to the current downshift in electoral expectations. While neighboring countries like El Salvador face mass crime sprees, and in Honduras, Xiomara Castro's new government managed to topple a corrupt administration and just finished dealing successfully with a political crisis, not to mention the region's constant migratory issues, Costa Rica seems to enjoy a more prosperous situation. However, key issues like a need for serious reforms in education, healthcare, social spending, the latest crisis that has affected the job market and caused inflation and poverty to rise, as well as state support to the people, are among the problems the winner will have to face if he means to truly improve the quality of life of his people.
Costa Ricans cast their votes this Sunday to elect the next president of the nation, but there's not much clarity on who the potential winner will be.
The gap between Social Democratic Progress Party candidate Rodrigo Chavez and National Liberation Party candidate Jose Maria Figueres was not enough to decide a leader in the first round, since none reached the needed minimum of 40% in the first leg of the process. Figueres came out on top with 27%, whereas Chavez gathered 16%. However, the landscape shifts because since then, both runner-ups have been busy creating alliances. Analysts say the undecided voters will be the ones tipping the scales in this new turnout. Figueres, whose father acted as head of state and served office from 1994 to 1998, proposes to use his legacy to boost Costa Rican social democracy by reducing poverty and unemployment in an attempt to take back the fragmented citizenship's vote and promote confidence in the country's institutions. Chavez, a former official for the World Bank, set his agenda with a review and reforms and the public budget, an increase in green energy investments, control and spending, and a minimum universal retirement pay.
We'll take a short break now. Join us again after this. Welcome back to From the South. In Peru, striking sectors in the city of Huancayo agreed to a truce with the government of President Pedro Castillo and also to lift the pressure measures. Various groups of transporters and farmers in the region indicated that they will agree to a truce to put an end to the demonstrations that have lasted since March 28th and kept several of the country's main highways blocked. The leader, Angel Misayauri, pointed out that the truce is for a 5-day term. During this time, they hope the government will attend their demands regarding the lowering of fuel prices. However, several organizations participating in the strike do not share Misayauri's position. Meanwhile, President Pedro Castillo informed that this Sunday he will meet with the Council of Ministers in order to take measures to address the situation. Local media in Ecuador reported that at least 8 people were killed and 10 others injured in Cuenca in a new incident of prison violence. The incident occurred during the early hours of this Sunday morning in prison number 1 in the city of Cuenca in the center-south of Ecuador. So far, the authorities have not yet revealed the exact number of fatalities but are investigating whether it was a riot or an escape attempt. Residents of the surrounding areas indicated that they heard many shots being fired. The central government has described the situation as a disturbance of public order and said that it will fight corruption in the country's prison system. Colombian authorities confirmed the murder of peace signatory Edwin Andres Sanchez in the department of Guaviare. The incident occurred on Saturday, April 2nd at 7:45 p.m. local time. The victim was walking in the center of the municipality of La Libertad with another colleague when they were intercepted by 2 men on a motorcycle with their faces covered by helmets. The aggressor shot Sanchez 6 times while his colleague was unharmed. The peace signatory was the victim of an attack in 2020 when he received a bullet in the leg and another in the arm. Russian government authorities expressed their hope that Moscow and Kiev will manage to sign an agreement as a result of the arduous efforts being made in terms of Russian-Ukrainian negotiations. The Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov considered that in case such an agreement is reached, it will be an important step towards normalization of the situation. Peskov also stressed that there are always ways out of any confrontation and difficult situation, and assured that he was convinced that the objectives of the Russian military operation will be fully achieved. He also recalled that Russian President Vladimir Putin has never refused a meeting with his Ukrainian counterpart Volodymyr Zelensky. However, he pointed out that a specific document should be drafted in order for it to take place. Russian President Vladimir Putin has instructed officials at the Russian National Defense Management Center to help evacuate foreigners held in Mariupol by Ukrainian nationalists. The decision by Russian President is in response to a request made by his Turkish counterpart Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Russian Center Commando Mikhail Mizintsev said that foreign nationals are still being held by Ukrainian nationalist forces and Kiev has not been able to control the subversion. The Russian commander said they will guarantee compliance with the ceasefire along the entire humanitarian corridor, but they demanded from the Red Cross International Committee and from the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees to make Ukraine to ensure offer clear guarantees that will support the evacuation process scheduled for this Sunday. A delegation from the Arab League will travel Monday to Europe to talk separately with the foreign affairs chiefs of Russia and Ukraine as part of the effort seeking a diplomatic solution to the conflict in the Donbas region. A communique of the Pan-Arabic Organization detailed the group will consist of representatives of Egypt, Jordan, Algeria, Iraq, Sudan, and the United Arab Emirates. According to the program, the committee will arrive in Moscow on Monday, where Russian top diplomat Sergei Lavrov will host them, after which the delegation will travel to Warsaw, Poland, to meet the Ukrainian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dmytro Kuleba. In light of this, the Secretary General of the Arab League, Ahmed Aboulgate, recently expressed his concern of the economic and political repercussions the Donbass conflict entails in a regional and global perspective. More than 8,000 trade unions in Germany on Sunday demanded from the government more aid for the working class in the face of increase in the energy bill. The unions, which brings together 2.4 million workers in the private business sector, signed a document that demands the government temporarily reduce taxes on electricity and gas and set a limit on consumer prices. In the midst of this situation, the president of the IG Metall Union, Jörg Hoffmann, condemned speculations on the cost of energy, raw materials and food. In this context, last March, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz announced a one-time aid of €300, which citizens deemed insufficient to cover their needs. In Serbia, presidential and parliamentary elections are running smoothly despite some incidents. There's a registered 20.52% turnout during the first 5 hours of voting in the Electoral Commission. However, reports of at least 2 incidents, one in Belgrade against an opposition politician and another incident in the central city of Kashak, involving a deputy of a ruling party. This year's close to 6.5 million registered voters will be choosing the new head of state out of 8 candidates and 250 parliament deputies out of candidates from 19 parties and coalitions. In Hungary, the legislative election process continues to advance as well, the day in which nearly 8.2 million citizens choose whether or not Viktor Orban will continue to hold the office of Prime Minister after 12 years in power. This day began in the early hours of the morning with the opening of more than 10,000 polling stations. Each voter will be able to cast two ballots. The first one corresponds to one of the 100 constituencies of the country, the second one to the closed list of the parties, with which another 63 deputies of the unicameral parliament will be elected, and the third one is for the referendum on a controversial law considered homophobic and discriminatory. This is the first time on a national scale that 6 opposition parties have united to try to oust Orban from power by presenting a single candidate, Peter Markizai. Protests escalate in France against the extreme right in the country. The protest against the extreme right takes place in Paris a week before the presidential elections next Sunday. The citizens will decide with their vote whether to renew the mandate of President Emmanuel Macron or to give that responsibility to another candidate. Despite these mobilizations, opinion polls indicate that the standard bearer of the extreme right, Marine Le Pen, has considered reduce Macron's lead in terms of voting intention. We have more news coming up after the final short break, so stay with us.
We are approaching a new era. Technology trends and the massive deployment of new networks. It is just the beginning of what life...
Welcome back to From the South. Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi urged for the unity of Muslim countries in the framework of the start of the holy month of Ramadan. The president sent separate messages to the leaders of Muslim countries, extending his congratulations on the start of the holy month of Ramadan, urging for effective measures to force unity and integrity among Muslim nations. He said that such a goal could be achieved with the blessings of the Ramadan, which is marked by mercy and forgiveness, and through the joint efforts of Islamic leaders and intellectuals, while emphasizing the growing cohesion and solidarity among Muslim nations. Raisi also expressed his hopes for no more oppression and injustice in the world, and in Palestine in particular, giving way to peace and security. Also in Iran, officials say they are close to reaching an agreement to save the 2015 deal between Tehran and major powers on the Iranian nuclear program. During a telephone conversation with United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, Iran's Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdollahian said Tehran's proposals on pending issues have been transmitted to the U.S. side through the European Union negotiator, and for the moment they are waiting for a response. On his part, Guterres stressed the importance of the negotiations taking place in Vienna and expressed his hopes that the two sides would reach an agreement as soon as possible. The 2015 agreement signed by Iran, on the one hand, and Germany, China, the United States, France, the United Kingdom, and Russia on the other, established strict limits on Tehran's nuclear program so that it would not develop an atomic weapon, in exchange for lifting economic sanctions. Iran has reached an oil production capacity of 3.8 million barrels per day, which is the same as what they had before the economic sanctions imposed by Washington in 2018. Iran's oil minister Javad Zarif said this has been possible thanks to the effective measures taken in onshore and offshore oil fields, the setup of new drilling sites, and by retrofitting and modernizing facilities, among other decisions. The minister said that with the joint efforts of all the people involved in oil extraction, they will be able to increase exports of oil, gas, condensate, petrochemicals, and other crude oil products. In Yemen, an attack by Saudi troops has violated a 2-month truce between the two countries. The attack by Saudi border troops with rockets and artillery to residential areas in the province of Saada have left at least 3 civilians dead. This occurred a few hours after a ceasefire agreed upon between the two countries. According to local media, the Saudi-led coalition violated the truce 81 times over the last 24 hours. According to Yemen, the Saudi coalition carried out reconnaissance flights over several regions and carried out 25 artillery bombardments and 66 shootings. In Afghanistan, at least 1 person is reported dead and 59 injured after an explosion occurred on Sunday in the largest foreign exchange center in Kabul. The incident happened on the 2nd floor of the Saraicha Sada market when a criminal threw a grenade into a currency exchange office. According to the Taliban Interior Minister, it seems it was a botched robbery attempt. Authorities reported that the injured persons were taken to a hospital in the Afghan capital where they are receiving the necessary care. They also reported that an in-depth investigation has been opened in order to clarify the facts. The leader of the Taliban, Hibatullah Akhundzada, banned the use of several narcotics and alcohol in Afghanistan, as well as the cultivation of poppy used for the production of opium. The spokesman of the Taliban and Vice Minister of Information in the Western Asian nation explains that those who fail to comply with the measure adopted by the leader of the ruling movement will be processed and sanctioned by the country's judicial institutions. The decree forbidding the growing of the poppy flower also prohibits the sale, distribution, consumption, and production of drugs such as heroin, liquor, marijuana, and even a number of pain-relieving substances in the format of pills. According to information from the United Nations organization, the harvest of the poppy plant in Afghanistan increased by 8% in 2021, which translates to 320 tons of pure heroin. North Korea expressed its dissatisfaction with the position taken by South Korea regarding tensions in the peninsula. South Korea's Defense Minister Soo Wook reportedly said Friday that the South Korean army has enough missiles capable of hitting any target in North Korea. Kim Jong-un, sister of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, condemned the statement, warning that inter-Korean relations have deteriorated and military tensions increased on the peninsula because of Seoul's behavior. She said the recent statement could have serious consequences. The secretary of the Central Committee of North Korea's ruling party, Park Yong-chon, also warned about possible retaliations in case of an attack against North Korea. At least 1 person was killed and 31 others were injured in an explosion at a nightclub located in Baku, the capital of Azerbaijan. According to preliminary data from the country's Attorney General's office, most of the people injured in the incident suffered burns of several degrees and were transported to the nearest hospital. At least 35 ambulances were sent to the site. So far, it has not been clearly determined how the incident was caused, but initial reports suggest that it may have been a possible gas leak. We have come to the end of this news brief. Remember, you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesorenglish.net. You can also join us on our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. For Telesur English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.